relax, and let's have a chapter chat. I'm your host, Jessica Foster, and we have a special edition of Chapter Chat today. This is going to be Top 5 in 25, our top 5 books for the year, and I have a special guest. It's my friend, Laura Roesch. Thanks so much for being here, Laura.
Oh, my pleasure. I'll talk books all day.
And Laura is the executive director of the Bay County Public Library Foundation. You're a retired judge and you're an avid reader.
I am.
Tell me a little bit about how you got into books.
I have been obsessed with books since I was 3 or 4 years old, thanks to my beloved grandmother who read to me before I could read, and it has just been a thing my entire life.
And reading is so important to be a lifelong learner.
That's it exactly. And curiosity helps. I am eminently curious about everything, and my reading, style is I'll read anything if it's of interest to me. It isn't one genre. I'm just curious and like reading.
I'm a curious person too, and I know as a judge you had to be curious and be a lifelong learner.
Yes, and there's a difference between reading for the law and reading personally. Uh, One is more enjoyable than the other.
Now, when I contacted you to do this podcast episode with me, you were so excited because you've read so many books this year and you have some clear favorites.
I do, and I keep a log of the books I've read. I've done that for more than 20 years. And I'm always looking for trends. And in the last year or so, and it's connected to a class I teach at Education Encore, my new thing is quality over quantity. I am trying to read slower, more deeply, and you can see that in the numbers that I have this year versus last year, and especially the year before that. So I do keep up with it. And there are trends you can see if you pay attention.
There are trends with my books as well. I read books that have strong female characters in them.
I would say, and looking at the 5 I picked for the year, there are certain themes also. Very strong character development, and of these books, 4 of the 5 are very strong female protagonists. For my 5, a very strong sense of time, a sense of place, and strong, well-written prose. Just lyrical, beautiful, just a delight to read.
So should we jump into it?
Oh, let's do
Okay.
that.
Okay, so I'm going to start with you, Laura. Tell me your number 5 picks for the year.
Let me have a caveat, if I may. Picking 5 for anyone is a challenge, but I did my best, and this is my 5 this week. It might change tomorrow, but as of now, for number 5 for me was Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. Um, an amazing book, dark, kind of a psychological thriller, I would say. It involves an island, a very desolate, remote island with a father and 3 children. Much tragedy in their lives, but just so beautifully. You can imagine yourself on this island where you're basically trapped until the delivery ship shows up to help you out. But just a wonderful book.
Laura, how long did it take you to read this particular book?
Not long because it was just so engaging. A couple of days, really. This is a new author for me. The children were particularly engaging. The teenagers, well, 2 teenagers and then a younger brother. Uh, uh, their mother died years ago. The father is still bereft and still talks to the mother, thinks he sees the mother. A lot of supernaturals in the book, but a very interesting read as certain plot twists come into play that you just don't see coming, or at least I did not. But it was a really enjoyable book, and I would recommend it. I liked it a lot.
So my number 5 is a genre that is unique to me as well. And this one was a psychological thriller. And Laura, you know me. This is not what I normally read.
Do tell.
Okay.
Okay. You're right. You don't normally read that, Jessica.
No, I don't. Okay, this is All This Could Be Yours by Hank Philippi Ryan. And I actually had the honor of interviewing this author, who is also an investigative journalist. So we had a lot in common. And All This Could Be Yours is about an author, and she's on book tour, and it's a cat and mouse chase. She has basically a stalker who's following her from city to city, And it blew my mind when I found out who the stalker was
Oh my.
and why they were following her from city to city. But it really was a departure for me, but it expanded my mind,
Mm.
and I loved reading something written by a fellow journalist.
Spoiler alert, was the end result what you expected or not?
So the end result was not what I
Mm.
expected.
Even better.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see it coming. And a lot of times I'm pretty good at figuring it out, but I did not see this one.
Mm.
So, number 5, All This Could Be Yours by Hank Phillippi Ryan for
Mm.
me. So, on to number 4 for you, Laura.
Oh my goodness. This one was a surprise. I, a surprise in that I liked it as much as I did. It's historical fiction. The Frozen River by Ariel Lahan, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Um, Maine, 1789, during the winter. Um, this character, Martha Ballard, is a midwife and is really what the community has as a doctor. And she travels the community delivering babies and really tending to the medical needs of everybody in the community. And the frozen river, the river is indeed frozen and is used for travel along as she's out trekking around. There is a murder. She gets deeply involved in resolving that murder. It is connected to allegations, spoiler alert, trigger points, of an alleged rape by allegedly two prominent men in the community, and that's where it all starts. Twists and turns that I did not see coming. What's unique about this, Martha and her husband have 6 children and an amazing relationship between the 2 of them that is so well, flushed out in the book. It's just an excellent read, excellent character development of many characters in the book, going through a trial in 1789, which is a whole interesting story. That was particularly of interest to me. Um, very realistic, very multi-layered in the various characters in the book. Again, a very good read. It was a quick read, a very easy read because it's just so well written.
And I could see as a retired judge why you would like something that has a trial in it.
Well, it was, oh my goodness, think of it, 1789.
Mhm.
Uh, the opinion of women, I was going to say, is irrelevant. It is non-existent, that no one
Right.
really cares. But this particular character, Martha, has a very special prominence in the community because of what she does in everyone's lives, and because of her access to people in the most personal aspects of their lives, has information that builds to the conclusion of the trial. And was there or wasn't there a rape by these 2 men? And it's again, the twists are quite entertaining in that you just didn't really see them coming, or at least I did not. But a book well worth reading.
So my number 4 pick is actually a holiday read, but it's also historical fiction, which I have really gotten into that historical fiction genre. I think that we touch on a lot of things that the history books don't touch on with historical fiction,
Agree.
and that's important. And I also feel like there are a lot of women's stories that are not told in the history books that we get in historical fiction.
Hmm.
And so my number 4 pick is Last Christmas in Paris. And this is written by Hazel Gaynor and Heather Webb. So they are co authors and they do a fabulous job. And even though there are 2 different authors writing this book, it sounds like one voice. It takes place in World War One, which we see a
Oh,
lot of historical fiction in World War Two.
I expected you to say World War II.
Right. But no, this is World War One, and it's all written through correspondence.
Epistolary.
Yes.
Aha.
I had never read a book that was like that.
Oh.
And so that was fascinating. Also, you also have a side angle in there about journalism during World War One. And even though it is a holiday book, I wouldn't say that it's one that's like a Hallmark Christmas movie
Mm,
holiday book at all.
okay.
Which I kind of normally read something like that during the holidays. So again, a little bit of a departure, but since I'm getting into that historical fiction genre, this works.
Hmm.
So we are at number 3.
Number 3 is by one of my very favorite authors who has written so many books. Most of them I've read. And this just happens to be her latest. Patty Callahan Henry's The Story She Left Behind. Set in London and then the Lake District, which favorite places in the world to me. Mid-1920s. A young girl, I should say, is abandoned by her mother, basically. She just disappears. She just walks out in the middle of the night one night and just disappears and leaves this, I believe she's 8-year-old child. And for decades, this little girl, teenager, young woman, goes on to become a mother, is haunted by this, cannot understand it. Neither could I. For the longest time in this book, I'm thinking, how could someone do this?
Right.
You need to read the book. The mother was a well-known author who had written a book in an unusual language, a language that needed to be deciphered, and she just disappeared. And forever, people are wondering what happened to her, what happened to her books, what happened to her writings, yada, yada, yada. Decades later, the young woman and her daughter receive a letter, I believe, from someone in England who thinks they have found a manuscript that belonged to the mother.
Oh, wow.
Which leaves a clue, or it leads on oh my goodness, a search trying to find what happened to the mother. The main character, Clara, travels to London with her daughter, and it just happens to coincide with a very well-known, actual, real-life event in London history called the Great Smoke, the big smog that occurred in London in that time frame and just suffocated the city. They escaped the city with the son of the man who thinks he's found this manuscript belonging to the mother. They go to his estate, and there it all unravels, and it is just an amazing. It's pure Patty Callahan Henry. She has a strong penchant for England, and when she researches a book that's connected to England or anywhere else for that matter, she digs deep and dives in, and this book shows it. It's complex. It's about forgiveness. It's about abandonment. It's a family legacy, and it just goes on and on and on, and it is so well written. Of course, I've said that about all these books, but again, that's why you read, is for good reading, good writing. Many twists and turns. If you've read any Patty Callahan Henry, you know how well she surprises you and where the book takes a turn. And again, this is one set in England. This is one of several that she has had set in England over the years, and it is just a delight to read. And after the conclusion is revealed, I have a much better understanding of what happened, why it happened, and it's understandable now. But boy, the tenacity of Clara, the main character, who just could not give up on what happened to her mother all those decades ago.
And it
A good read.
shows the human spirit, right?
Exactly.
We are
Yep.
resilient, all the things. Patty Callahan Henry is great.
Yep. I highly recommend it.
And if you've never read any of her books, pick up one. All of them are so good.
Oh.
And you've described her writing style perfectly, Laura.
Oh, I could give you 4 right off the top of my head right this minute. She is just Google her name and just dig in, because once you find an author that you really, really like, and then find that they have quite the backlist of books they've written, boy, that's just a delight for a reader.
So the book that I'm choosing for my number 3 pick, I felt like this one was a delight. This is one that you read also, and it is Confessions of a Grammar Queen, and it's by Eliza Knight.
Love Eliza Knight.
I do too. But Confessions of a Grammar Queen, it is set during it's the 60s, right?
Yep.
Wasn't it the
Yep.
60s? Yes, the 60s.
White go-go boots and
Yes,
mini skirts.
that. A copy editor. And so it's a female copy editor who's very talented, but she's basically in a man's world. And it follows her journey. There's also a little bit of a love story in there. But again, that strong female character. And something else that I found really interesting in this book is that there's a dog that's one of the main characters.
Can't go wrong with that.
No. And when I talked to Eliza Knight about this book, she told me that the dog in the book was based on a dog that she saw when she and her daughter were out and they were at this like little pub, like a bar
Oh,
pub type thing.
mhm.
And there was a little dog that walked in and everybody was like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" And they treated him like a person.
Don't you treat your dog as a person? I do. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Those people do. They are
Uh-huh,
a family
uh-huh.
member, right?
Yes.
And he just kinda had free reign over the little bar that they were at, and so she based the character in the book on that dog that she saw in real life. And she also writes other books under a different, so this is
Mm.
her pen name,
Mhm.
and then Michelle Brandon is her real name, and she wrote another book this year, and it was called Rush Week. It it was quite the departure from Confessions of a Grammar.
Definitely a departure,
Yeah.
but readable. It was quite readable.
It yeah, you could read it very quickly.
Uh-huh.
I would say on a spice level, 1 out of 5. Would you probably give that one a 5?
It was pretty spicy, especially if you've read anything else that Eliza Knight has written, and if you've met her as Eliza Knight. It is a departure, but it was well read, well written, and I enjoyed the book. It was spicy works, 5 maybe, 4, 5, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. I think so too. But Confessions of a Grammar Queen by Eliza Knight, that one was so readable. It was great historical fiction. I feel like it had a little bit of a light, humorous side to
Mhm.
it as well. So it was really one of my favorites of the year.
I would agree, and it's fun when you meet the author and learn the backstory. For me, a lot of these books are all about how they came to be, so I enjoy actually getting to meet an author.
I do too. I do too. And I love when authors are so accessible
Mhm.
and they like to interact with their viewers or readers.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so what is your number 2
Oh,
pick? And your number 2 is actually one that I've heard a lot about.
it is probably a name you'll know. It is Frederick Bachman's My Friends. He wrote A Man Called Uwe, that was actually made into a movie with Tom Hanks. Amazing movie, amazing book, by the way. But this book is pretty gut-wrenching. It takes place, in a dual timeline, which I always enjoy that. It involves 4 teenagers, who gosh, I don't even know how to describe their tragic home life. Dysfunctional families, there's addiction, there's sexual abuse, physical abuse. It's just a gut-wrenching book, and he handles it beautifully. You become so fond of these characters, and one of them is a young man who turns out to be an artist, which saves his life.
Wow.
Moving forward in the timeline, his life touches the life of I believe she was 14 when she's first, no, 17 when she's first introduced, a young girl that is in foster care. Her mother abandons her, and she, in a very weird turn of circumstances, meets this artist, uh, and he gives her the painting that he is so famous for, and gives it to her. And again, that's where it all takes off. And she goes off on this trek with his dear friend because this artist is dying, and he does die. Spoiler alert, sorry about that. But the characters in this book, whether it's current time or past time, are so beautifully written, and it will make you cry. It is beautifully written, but again, we're talking Frederick Bachman here. He wrote Beartown. Um, it takes place over 25 years, and it has an interesting ending that I don't wanna say, but it is about so many things: bullying, salvation, friendship, forgiveness, all tied up in a nice, tidy package thanks to Frederick Bachman, but I highly recommend this book. Number 2 on my list.
It sounds like a fascinating read. And I've heard, like I said earlier, some great
Mhm.
things about that. My number 2 book was a little bit of a surprise for me because I thought that I would like it, but I didn't know that I would love it this much. And it is Great Big Beautiful Life.
Oh.
And that one is by Emily
Mm.
Henry. And I've read some Emily Henry before, and I've enjoyed it, but not as much as I enjoyed this one.
Hmm.
And I think it's because it has a journalism theme to it,
Mhm.
a little bit of mystery in there, and a little bit of love. So, I like all of those things. But Emily Henry, she has a unique writing style. I think that it is very, I don't know, could you say readable? Very
Mhm. Definitely.
digestible?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that a good term to use for that?
Reader friendly. Mhm.
Reader friendly. Yes. You've read some Emily Henry.
I have. I have. I've not read this one yet, but yeah.
Mhm. And a lot of her books are more beach
Mhm.
reads, but I think Great Big Beautiful Life didn't really fall into that beach read
Hmm.
category for me. I think it had a little bit more depth, I would say, to it. So,
Well, I may have to put that bump that up my list a little.
yeah, and it was a little bit longer, I think, than some of the other ones, but I loved it. I read it very quickly, and so it number 2 on my list.
Well,
Yeah, so pick it up. Great Big Beautiful Life, especially if you love a little journalism and celebrity
ah,
in there too. So we're at number 1. I can't believe we're already making our way
oh
through
my
all
goodness.
5 of them,
Mhm.
but your number 1 pick for the year, what is it?
My number 1 is a great surprise to me. I had heard all the publicity about it, and I thought, I need a book because I need an audio book because I walk and I like to listen to. So this
Mhm.
book, The Correspondent by Virginia Evans, I cannot tell you how many people I have recommended this book to on audio. On audio, it is absolutely magical, and I believe it's because of how it was produced. It is an epistolary. Um, and this author is it's a debut novel for this author. That's not the first book she's ever written, but she's written, I think, 8 or 9 books, but this is the one that has finally gotten some traction, and it is phenomenal, and she's quite young. She's 39 years old. Um, it is about a woman in her early 70s, Sylvia Stone Van Antwerp, who her entire life has written letters to friends, families, celebrities, some of whom wrote back. Ann Patchett, Joan Didion, Larry McMurtry. You'll know them. McMurtry, Lonesome Dove, Joan Didion, Blue, lots of different books. And this book, and it's just it is a marvel to me having listened to it because, as I said, the way it's produced. The characters, the people that she exchanges letters with are all done with different narrators, and it's so engaging to listen to because this goes on for years and years and years,
Wow.
and you get to know the voices, and you get to know well, Evan's writing style is so intimate, so well rounded as you learn about these characters or these friends, families, colleagues of goodness gracious, I'm drawing a blank here, of Sybil, the main character. But what's ironic, Sybil, who has written letters all her life and is very particular about what words she chooses, what paper she writes on, what pens she uses, gives great thought to the letters she writes, and it shows. But she's going blind. So she has never been an audio book person, but she's always been a writer and a reader. And throughout the book, she throws out titles that she's read, and the people that she comes across in her life, in the seasons of her life, if you will. That's how the book is really devised. She's in the winter of her life, obviously going into her 70s and on, and it is just an absolutely beautiful book. And I have read a few epistolaries. One of my very favorite is Helene Hamp's 84 Charing Cross Road, which I'm sure most of our viewers will know. Uh, Again, just strong character director development, and a wonderful sense of timing and place. Evan's ability to describe through the eyes, I shouldn't use the word eyes, through the pen of Sybil is just an absolute delight to listen to. I highly recommend listening to it. I think, I'm sure it's beautifully, I'm sure it's a beautiful read, but it is magical to listen to.
And I think that it's important for us to point out to people that even if you're listening to a book, that counts. That's reading.
Oh, absolutely. It took me a while. I think I can thank our dear friend Sarah Burris for this, but she encouraged me to a couple years ago now to pick up an audio. Oh, she was so right because A, you can listen to it when you're driving. You're going to consume a lot more books, and it's a different experience. If I can throw out a book as an honorable mention, another one which is a classic, Mansfield Park. Same thing, produced with a variety of different narrators, even with some music. Touches thrown in. Just a delightful experience, and with a classic, it was I mean, Jane Austen has a different rhythm, and it was great in an audiobook.
So I would have to say that Sarah, our friend Sarah, was the one who encouraged me to listen
Mhm.
to audiobooks as
Yep,
well. And
yep.
Sarah spent a lot of her adult life in the library
Mhm,
system, and
mhm.
she said that's how she would get through a lot of books.
And she's right.
Hmm. She is. She is. So my number one, this is not a new book, but this author, she's a delight. She is so talented. And again, she's one of those authors that's very accessible. I've interviewed her before. She loves interacting with her readers. And that's Kristen Harmeld. And I read this book in January, and it
Oh,
still sticks with me, and it is my number one for the year, and it's The Winemaker's Wife.
oh,
Have you read this one?
I have not yet, but I saw her interviewed talking about it, and again, my to be read list is immense, and it's on there.
Yes, so it's set in the Champagne vineyards of France, and it's
Mm,
during World War II, some very dark days in World War II, and they're hiding things for the resistance in these caves. And there's heartbreak. You see how women are treated. You also see people searching for a better life and doing the wrong thing, doing the right thing, or doing the wrong
mm,
thing for the
mm,
right
mm.
reason. There's all of that mixed in. So there's a lot of emotions. And I love it. And again, historical fiction.
And is that a theme? I'm again, besides the journalistic, I think the emotional aspect is something that draws you to a book.
It
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
yeah, and I do like a happy ending
Mhm, mhm,
too, in a book. I mean, I don't know, there's so much in the world that I do
mm,
want it to end
mhm.
on a good note. What about you?
Yet another good reason to read.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So true, so true. Well, what advice do you have for people if they are just starting on this journey of trying to read more in the new year?
I would say for me, and I discovered this, I gave myself permission on this several years back. Pick up a book, start it. If you don't like it, move on. You do not have to your time is way more valuable sticking to a book that doesn't particularly intrigue you, interest you, encourage you, inspire you. Put it down and move on. There are my favorite line, so many books, so little time. So experiment. Our library here is fantastic.
Yeah.
We have access to books on so many levels. You find an author that you like, stick with them. The more you read, the more you will see how interconnected books are. Again, as a lifelong reader, um, it is a treat to see how the books are indeed connected. Some of these authors write books that have been, I mean, some of the classics, we're still talking about them. And
Right.
that's why they're classics. And
Yes.
just find something you like and read it.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, move on.
Move on.
Yep.
Yep.
Hmm.
You don't have to finish a book that you don't love.
Exactly. How about you? What about you, Jessica?
So, my advice is to just do it because we started Chapter Chat as a book club for our viewers.
Hmm.
And I actually started it as a New Year's resolution for myself. I wanted to read more. I realized that when I was younger, I read all the time. I read for fun. And then I kind of got out of it as life got busy and life was happening. I realized that my daughter wasn't loving to read as much as
Hmm.
I wanted her to. So I wanted her to see mom reading for fun. So
Perfect.
had this New Year's resolution and it turned into a passion. And this turned into a passion project. It started off as a book club, and then we expanded it into a book drive for Flow, free
Mhm.
library on wheels,
Thank you very much.
a huge part of which gets books into hands of kids in
Mhm,
the community. We've actually done a podcast earlier in the
mhm.
year on that. And now it's also turned into this podcast, which is reaching people not only here in our local area here in Florida, but also across the world. We have
Amazing.
listeners in other countries.
Wow.
It just shows you the power of books and the
Mhm.
power of reading.
Mhm.
And I think that's a beautiful thing.
It is for me.
It is for me as well.
Mhm.
So, our top 5 from each of us, these are my top 5. The Winemaker's Wife, number 1. Great Big Beautiful Life, number 2. Confessions of a Grammar Queen, number 3. Last Christmas in Paris, number 4. And All This Could Be Yours, number 5.
And mine are number 1, The Correspondent, number 2, My Friends, number 3, The Story She Left Behind, number 4, The Frozen River, and number 5, Wild Dark Shore.
So, everyone, get to reading. Thank you so much for listening to our top 5 in 25. And we'll see you next year. Happy reading.
You've been listening to Chapter Chat. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Happy reading.